Yo, Tasha K straight came on YouTube today at 12 noon Eastern. Y'all know that's normally my time, okay? But I pushed my daytime talk show back an hour because I needed to know what the hell is Tasha K coming up to tell us at noon, okay? We ain't never seen her on the YouTube streaming, posting on anything this early in the daytime. Okay, so I knew it was important. So I said, you know what? The Jovi B show could wait an hour because we got shit to get to. And oh boy, did we get to some shit. What kind of shit did we get to? We got to Charlamagne the God, okay, and iHeartRadio and their subsidiaries, I guess, I assume, I don't know, allegedly or whatnot, being sued by Jessica freaking Reid. Okay. Now, if you've been under a rock somewhere, well, maybe you don't know because you know iHeartRadio, okay, that's what the lawsuit about, took a lot of time, money, and effort to wipe the story from these YouTube streets. Okay. I know. We all know. All YouTubers who make content on that situation know what happened. Okay. So now Jessica Reid, okay, the victim here, is not only suing Charlamagne the God and his crystal empire wanting ass, okay, but also iHeartRadio for what? S assault, regular assault, battery, defamation, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Hello, she could probably sue for a lot more because he did so much more. All right. Shout out to Tasha K for dropping this exclusive content. She posted it so us lowly tubers on the bottom could get some views and some clicks and some dollars as well. So here I is. All right. Look, I'm about to pull this up right now. All right now. Let me pull this up. Okay, this is on YouTube. And again, everything I say here is alleged until Charlamagne get the motherfucking papers. He get the papers on Friday, allegedly, child, in the New York City court system. This is what the frick I am talking about. So this is Tasha K's page, as you can see. All right. She recently just posted this. She posted court documents so we can have the papers. So iHeartRadio can't hit up YouTube and make us take this shit down. Okay, all right. So Jessica Reid, the girl who, if you maybe I digress. Maybe I need to tell you who she is. She is the girl who Charlamagne wrote about in both of his books. Okay, the girl who he has been convicted of doing things to, who was a minor when he was in these New York City streets, going back and forth, trying to get him an internship at Wendy Williams. This is before Charlamagne became Charlamagne as we now know him today. This is when he was just a funny face, little short motherfucker from the Carolinas, going back and forth up there to down here, trying to, get a career for himself. Now he has said career, and he has used that career to try to keep Jessica down here and her situations down there, and has also told the story of what he alleged he did, the Spanish fly of it all. He didn't use Spanish fly on well, I don't know what the frick he used on the child. He used it on his wife, allegedly, according to what he said, and how he likes to force, or used to like to drug and force women, little girls. Let's be clear, little girls, because at the time Jessica was, I believe, 15 years old. Little girls into things. Okay, all right. So let's get to it. We 4 minutes in. Okay, so this is Jessica Reid civil rights complaint. Okay, civil action. Okay, because we'll get to that. It's against Leonard Larry McKinley, Charlamagne, and iHeartRadio, the organization, the company. Listen, I hope y'all enjoyed all them views, them advertising dollars y'all got from Charlamagne and promoting this bullshit. Because black women are protected. If his ass was doing this, if this was white women, Charlamagne would have been taken off all the airways. But we already know how they give it up when it comes to us. Anywho, so it says, to our Honorable United States District Judge, come now, Jessica Reid, plaintiff herein by counsel, bring this action against Leonard Charlamagne and iHeartRadio for damage and responsible and respectfully alleged as follows. Okay, the parties: Jessica Reid is a resident of North Carolina. We know that. Defendant Charlamagne is a radio host and television personality. Charlamagne is currently a resident of New York State. That's why they filed it here. Better get them papers. That was real smart, because don't file that shit in the Carolinas. File that shit right here. You know these New York City lawyers, okay? You know these New York City judges don't take too well to these supposed celebrities acting a goddamn fool, okay? This ain't anyway. Let me not say nothing. The defendant, iHeartRadio, is an entity incorporation in the state of Texas and does business in New York. Okay, this court has subject matter jurisdiction over this actions because, like I said, he lives here. Okay, she trying to get it, girl. He has destroyed her life. Let's start. Venue and blah blah blah. All they're saying because he lives here. That's why they filed the court charges here, because Charlamagne is a New York City resident. Go. Miss Reid met Charlamagne in 2001. Okay, Miss Reid met Charlamagne through a friend named Rico. When they first met, Miss Reid was 15 years old. She ain't saying nothing. She ain't say on Tasha K's interview, and Charlamagne ain't wrote about multiple times and joked about and joked about and joked about on iHeartRadio. That's why they asses y'all let it happen, right? Jump rope y'all ass into a lawsuit. Jump rope y'all ass into a lawsuit. Double dutch that hole. Anyway, Miss Reid was 15 and Charlamagne was 20. At the time, Charlamagne was a radio DJ in Charlotte. Okay, the first time Miss Reid met Charlamagne, Rico and Miss Reid were all out together, and Rico had to drive to the radio station to see Charlamagne. When Rico and Miss Reid arrived at the radio station, Rico introduced Miss Reid to Charlamagne. Miss Reid thought Charlamagne seemed like a nice guy. Seems, it's always the one who seems, child. They all talked briefly, mostly about music, and then Rico and Miss Reid left the radio station. A few days later, Miss Reid received a call from Charlamagne. Miss Reid did not give Charlamagne her number, so she assumed that Rico gave it to him. Miss Reid spoke to Charlamagne, and he said he liked Miss Reid and wanted to take her out. However, Miss Reid told Charlamagne that she was not interested in him romantically. That right there, ladies, that right there is what I need to tell y'all when a lot of women say, oh, I want to have a bunch of male friends. A lot of male friends, like Charlamagne tried to be after she politely told him she was not interested. After her 15-year-old ass, this big grown 20-year-old man trying to take her out, and she's like, no. So what did he try to do? In my opinion, he tried to set her up so he can take it. Because niggas like that want to take. Okay. All right. They like to take things. Be careful with these men who call themselves your friend. They're waiting for an opportunity. Anyway. Charlamagne said he understood and wanted to know if they could be friends. What the fuck? And I keep telling y'all, what does a 20-year-old have in common with a 15-year-old? Not a goddamn thing. Okay, but let's continue. After that, Charlamagne would call Miss Reid from time to time, and they began a platonic relationship. At first, Miss Reid could call Charlamagne at the radio station and request a song, and Charlamagne would play it. Weeks later, Charlamagne said that he wanted to take Miss Reid and her friends out to get something to eat. Miss Reid agreed and invited her friends to lunch with her and Charlamagne. Charlamagne drove over to pick up Miss Reid and her friends, and at the time, Charlamagne met Miss Reid's mother. Charlamagne spoke to her and assured her that Miss Reid and her friends were safe, and they were just going out to eat. This is another issue I have with this case, but we spoke about this. I am not letting my 15-year-old child go out with no grown man. Even if my child thinks that's her friend, I'm old enough to know what these niggas really be wanting with our little girls. Anyway, let's continue. Blah, 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 blah. So they went to go get some Chinese food. They went to the Chinese food buffet because you know they love a Chinese food buffet down South, child. So then everything was cool. In early of June 2001, Miss Reid received a phone call from Charlamagne. Charlamagne said his birthday was coming up and he was having a party. And one of Miss Reid, oh my God, he's a Cancer. Anyway, I got distracted by that. And he was having a party and wanted Miss Reid and some of her friends to come. Miss Reid initially told Charlamagne no, but Charlamagne responded he wanted Miss Reid to be there, and she was like Charlamagne's little sister. When they start calling you little sisters or whatever, ma'am, they are plotting on your cooch. Okay, they are plotting on your cooch, young ladies. Do not believe the gas. Do not get gassed up. Do not get gassed up. Okay. Oh man, I feel so. This is horrible. She can't trust nobody now. This is worse than, can I just say, just a real intermission, a real quick intermission. This is literally worse than some nigga running up behind you, some random stranger in the street running up behind you, busting you in the head or some shit and taking it. Okay, this is worse than that because this man made himself invested in her life, tried to make himself a friend, tried to put himself in some sort of relations with her. And then look what he did. Oh, I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted by this motherfucker. So then, let me take it down. Y'all don't have to see it. Y'all know it's there. It's on Tasha K's Instagram page. Okay. Where are we? My ears hurt. Miss Reid then agreed to attend Charlamagne's party. She asked for her sister-in-law to come, Malika, and she joined. And Miss Joyner said yes. Charlamagne awed Mrs. Reid at the Short Stay Naval Recreation Center on June 8th, the day of Charlamagne's birthday party. He's a freaking Cancer. We've been talking about them. Charlamagne's cousin, Kenta Parker, and a few other men picked up Miss Reid and Miss Joyner around 4 p.m. Charlamagne was supposed to come as well, but he was traveling separately, okay? Miss Reid felt uncomfortable since they were, and listen, you have to also, I want to say, ladies, you have to follow your first instinct. If you feel comfortable, don't push past that shit. Move and dash out of that fucking situation, okay? I'm just saying. All right. Miss Reid felt uncomfortable since there were so many men with them, but since she and Charlamagne had a good friendship, so she thought. She figured she would be safe. On the way to the party, they stopped at a house where they waited for Charlamagne. When we entered the house, Charlamagne introduced Miss Reid to his dad. Then they all left for the party. After leaving Charlamagne's family house, they stopped at the store. Miss Reid called her mom at a nearby payphone to let her know that she and Miss Joyner were okay. Once they all made it to the residence called, since it was dark and getting late, Miss Reid assumed that they would not spend any time at the lake, and she wondered what they were going to do now. When Miss Reid walked into the premises, there was nothing but men there with Miss Reid and Miss Joyner. Miss Reid saw some other females outside in the back and could see them from the front door. At that point, Miss Reid felt uncomfortable at Charlamagne's party as there were so many men there. Charlamagne could see that Miss Reid felt uncomfortable because Charlamagne told Miss Reid to relax, and he told Miss Reid that everything was okay. Charlamagne then asked Miss Reid if she wanted a drink. Nope. No. Miss Reid initially told him no, but Miss Joyner said she would have one. Charlamagne then made a drink for Miss Joyner and gave it to her. Okay? Make your own drinks, ladies. Charlamagne then reassured Miss Reid and said, look, I'm not going to let anything happen to you. You are like my little sister. Anytime they start talking about they little sister, be wary, ladies. Be fucking wary, okay? I'm just saying. Look, I'm not going to let anything happen to you. Like my little sister, nothing will happen to you tonight. I'll take care of you. It's my birthday. Just chill and have some fun. Miss Reid then changed her mind about the drink, right? Miss Reid and Miss Joyner were sitting next to each other. Miss Joyner was almost finished with her drink, and Miss Reid had about half of her drink left. Charlamagne made Miss Joyner another drink, but she could not drink it. After a few minutes went by, Miss Reid looked at Miss Joyner as Miss Joyner, her sister-in-law, started to look sick. because they drugged these ladies. Okay, when Miss Reid asked Miss Joyner if she was okay, Miss Joyner started throwing up. Some of the men at this party gave Miss Joyner some napkins, but they all were laughing at her in the process because they all knew what they did and they knew what they were there to do. Okay? In the fucking woods. Miss Joyner and Miss Reid then sat on the couch, and Miss Joyner still looked sick. Eventually, Miss Reid started to feel dizzy as well, so she just decided to go to the bathroom and stay in there until she felt better. However, when Miss Reid stood up, she collapsed as if she felt like her legs gave out on her and she could not walk. Miss Reid heard the men at the parties laughing at her. Then she heard Charlamagne laugh and say, "Take her ass upstairs." Two of the men then carried Miss Reid upstairs and took her into one of the bathrooms upstairs. Miss Reid later found out there were two men named Larry and Boo. Reid had on a dress that night. Once they got into the bathroom, Larry and Boo started pulling up her dress, and the men were rubbing on her breast and her butt, and they placed their fingers in her vajayjay with force. They also started kissing her. To make matters worse, Miss Reid was still conscious and aware of everything that was happening to her, but she still could not move her body. When the men were finished sexually assaulting her, they left her in the bathroom. Miss Reid laid on the bathroom floor and cried. Miss Reid did not understand what was going on. You were being was going on, why the men were assaulting her, and why she could not move. She was very afraid and didn't know what to do. Shortly thereafter, Larry opened up the bathroom door a few times to peek in. Then Charlamagne came into the bathroom and carried Miss Reid into the bedroom and laid her on the bed. Charlamagne came back into the bedroom shortly after that. Miss Reid knew it was him because he was talking to Miss Reid. He said, "It's me. This is Charlamagne. Didn't I tell you I was gonna take care of you?" In addition to hearing Charlamagne, in addition to hearing Charlamagne's voice when he was on top of her, Miss Reid also saw his face and the room was dark. Okay. Oh my God. Miss Reid tried to move, but she was still weak. Charlamagne had all his weight on her. Miss Reid just laid and cried hopelessly as Charlamagne took advantage of her. Charlamagne was having with Miss Reid, and she cannot do anything about it. In addition to the penetration, there was also oral, and he attempted to get Miss Reid to perform oral on him. Charlamagne also tried to place her body on top of him, but she was unstable and her body kept wobbling. Miss Reid recalled hearing Charlamagne say, "Come on now, you gotta do something, suck my ink or something." This is when men trying to drug you, get you to drink too much. Listen. When Charlamagne was done, he left the room, and Miss Reid was left lying on the bed. Miss Reid felt like she had been laying there forever and was very confused and scared. Later, someone came in the room and turned the lights on and saw Miss Reid laying there. They must have said something to the other guests because shortly thereafter, there were several people standing in the doorway looking at Miss Reid. Miss Joyner also walked into the room, barely able to stand and slurring her words, and asked Miss Reid where her clothes were. Miss Reid started yelling and screaming that she was raped. After Miss Joyner asked her what happened, and Miss Reid asked where her clothes. Miss Reid still felt like she was drunk, even though we don't even know what happened to Miss Joyner downstairs. I'm gonna say that she kept whatever trauma happened to her close to her chest. Okay. And then somebody said, "No one touched you. Shut the F up before I kick you in the head." See, so they argue and then they want to assault you if you want to say anything about it. Okay. Miss Reid screamed, they kept yelling, and everyone was standing in the hallway, ran downstairs. Miss Reid does not remember how she got her clothes back on, or she assumed Miss Joyner helped her since no one else was in the room at the time. Miss Reid and Miss Joyner both gathered up enough strength to help each other down the stairs. When they arrived downstairs, they noticed that everyone left the house. Miss Reid and Miss Joyner then walked outside, and Miss Reid fell to the floor and started crying. Miss Reid told Miss Joyner that she loved her and she was scared and did not know what was going to happen to them. This is, oh gosh, I don't want to read all of this. I already started, but Jesus. That's basically what happened. Okay, y'all read the rest of it. I don't want to. I So basically, she went through everything that occurred. Okay, Tasha posted everything, everything, and everything. Let's get to this part. I want to fast forward a couple of years after, she tried to get over it. She couldn't get over it. Charlamagne took a plea deal for a lesser charge because her mother, trying to save face or whatever the fuck her mother was doing, I don't fucking know, sent her up to New York when she was supposed to testify, and she didn't know what was going on. And now she has been dealing with this shit for 21 years. It's about to be 22 years. Okay. All right. So in Charlamagne's book Black Privilege, on page 82, Charlamagne discussed the Miss Reid R situation and stated that Miss Reid willingly went into a room to have sex with him with his friends. Okay, Charlamagne referred to Miss Reid as a person who was doing drugs and willingly went into a dark room to have with men on the night Miss Reid was R'd. Okay, Charlamagne described the event that took place was wrong, hurtful, and defaming. I learned that once and for all on the party. The night started off great, lots of drinking. This is what he wrote in the book. Lots of drinking, smoking, dancing, and bullshitting. But at some point, one of the girls passed out, and when she woke up later that night, she claims that some of the dudes at the party had assaulted her. Apparently, she had gone into a drunk room with some guys to have sex. And when she started protesting, one of them said, "Relax, it's Charlamagne." Charlamagne false statements, some of which were made on iHeartRadio. This is why the radio station is in this shit. Were made with knowledge of falsity and reckless disregard of the truth. Charlamagne had admitted on iHeartRadio and other shows that he had R'd women in the past. Okay, he did that. Okay, he's admitted to that. Miss Reid has also created a petition to get him fired. Okay, Miss Reid was 15 when it happened. She is now 37, and her life is. Listen, I'm not reading no more of this. And her life is broken, okay? She cannot connect with anybody, really, right? She can't have sex with anybody, really. Her body tenses up. She feels violated. Like I said, the violation was only magnified by the fact that she knew her assault. She knew she knew the person who assaulted her. Okay, she was 15 years old. What the hell are you giving 15-year-olds something to drink for? Even if you're saying, "Oh, I didn't put a Spanish fly in her drink," even though this is the same man who has went on this same radio station and say that he put Spanish fly in his wife's drink on their first date. Okay, I hope she take him for everything he fucking has and all of that crystal franchise money. Ain't nobody want no fucking crystals anyway. Okay, that's what the hell White Castles is for. Crystals is just a bootleg ass White Castles. Yeah, I fucking said it, and now I'm done.